You know, it's been over a year since I put together this Batman custom. This is a Michael Keaton Batman '89. You know, I had a really good time putting them together. You know, it just kind of, everything kind of gelled. You know, I was able to get this outfit from Mego figure along with the body. I didn't really have to do much work. The head was perfect. You know, the paint job was pretty easy. I had a good time putting this figure together. He was just simple, but he's just like, gosh, classic. And so classic, I think that, you know, that's why Mego decided to release a statement. Gosh, it's been a while. I think it was after I put together that figure. I'm not saying my figure had anything to do with their decision, but I saw the announcement that they were going to be working on this particular figure right here. And this is kind of a no-brainer. It's just a beautiful custom, isn't it? And I mean, Mego already has all the things that they're going to need to put this guy together. Just haven't seen him yet. I'm hoping they put him together. Hope he comes out soon. I mean, the second he does, I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be in line getting this guy because, you know, it's just a cool figure. I'm glad I have the custom, though, just in case. And along with that custom, I also put together a Joker figure, you know, the nemesis of Batman. That's a pretty good likeness of Jack Nicholson, isn't it? But you know, I'm just not happy with these two figures. I mean, I'm happy with these two figures, but I'm not happy just having these two figures. So I thought it'd be cool to put together another nemesis of Batman, so I can have two nemesis. What's the plural of nemesis? According to Mystery Men, it's nemesis. I don't know. So I'd like to have some nemesis or nemesis for Batman. Got one right here, but of course I've got to get the Penguin. So today what I'm going to work on is I'm going to work on my second nemesis for Batman, the Penguin, and use a head sculpt that I just found that's just, gosh, it's perfect for this application. So go ahead and stick around. It should be fun. If you're a fan of the Michael Keaton movies, you're going to certainly enjoy what we do today. Or if you're into customizing, you know, this is a good opportunity for you to maybe take a look at a different scale. You know, a lot of customizing is done in the 1/6 scale. You know, not so much in the 1/9, but that's kind of exclusively what I deal with because growing up I had all the Mego, actually, well, not all of them. I say like 89-90% of the Mego action figures that were available during the 70s. I was just nuts about them. So that's why I do things in this scale, because it's familiar and it's kind of like, I don't know, very nostalgic for me. So I hope you stay tuned. It should be fun. I'm hoping to put together a nice looking figure. You know, that's always a plus. And I think with this head sculpt, I might be able to. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, here's the head that I chose. It comes from Special STL, and I'll provide a link below. Go ahead and check that out. I'll provide links for all the things that I'm showing right now so that you have them in your reference. But I thought this head was really cool. It has two options. It has this one with a top hat. You know, I'm getting a hat from Classic TV Toys to put on this model, but if it doesn't fit, I've got an option here. I can print this out. I am printing this one though. I am going to also add a neck stem and a plug. I have a video that I did last week on Frankenstein's monster. So take a look at that if you want to know how to use the head tool that I have and the neck stem to go ahead and provide an attachment for the S-type body that I'm going to be using. It's like a Mego scaled body. I'm also using this model's hands. You know, it's pretty simple, but you know what? It was free, so I'm going to try the hands here and see how it works out. I'm also using this this body. This one, let's put this one out. Funky McLunky, I don't know. They put out this body here. I'm going to be using the wrist part here, which has a little swivel and joint. Let me see if I can. Oh, there's another picture of it. It's not as good as this one. So I'm going to just be using this part right here. I actually use this body quite a bit, just for sizing. I use the hands here to size the hands that I'm using today for the Penguin. But I'm going to be using this part right here, that wrist part, to actually attach it to my model. So I've got both files here. I cut the hand off, and there it is. And then here's the part that I'm going to use it to attach to my S-type body. I am going to have to cut off this swivel part. Let's see, I'm going to go to free cut. Oops, wrong way. And I'm simply going to cut off the part that I don't need, which is the swivel part. And I'm just going to delete that. And let me rotate this using my X mirror so that I can get it into that hand. Now this is just a basic attachment. You know, if you want to know how to do a swivel attachment, I've got a video that I did a while back on hands and feet for my Wolfman. That looks pretty good. Let me make sure that it is embedded into the hand. Excellent. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to export this model. I'm just going to call it my model. Because I'm doing that, this is actually two parts, right? And when I bring back my model, I'm going to have a complete hand here. Let me delete this one. But there's still a problem with it. If you'll notice, there's a discoloration here on that pin that I added, because what's going on is that this Anycubic program is actually considering these to be two models, and there's a problem when I support it. You'll notice that it doesn't really take care of this this plug, and so I'd have a failed print. So to counter that, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to come over here to my model, and I'm going to open it with my my Creality program. Now I have a Creality printer, but this program's still free. You can download it for free, because it does a couple of things really well. It'll fix the model. I usually run the fix through here because it has a little bit better repair feature. And it also has a simplify, but I'm not using that today because the model's pretty simple as it is. But what I've done here is I fixed that problem, and I'm also going to export it as one STL. And you'll see the difference that it makes. Let me make sure I'm on desktop. My model, replace it, yes. So I go back to my Anycubic program, and I import my model. I know it looks like it's a lot of rigmarole here, but you'll see that now that pin is one part of the model, and when I go to support it, it's now supported. You can see the difference between these two. So I'm going to delete this one, and this one I'm going to also let's see, clone it, and I'm going to mirror it so I can get the right hand. Where's the mirror? Along the x-axis. So now I have two hands that I can print up along with my head and get these attached to my S-type body. Now I'm not really happy with the pixelation. I'm hoping that it's not too pronounced. I am going to print these out and paint them with a black paint, and then put a high gloss lacquer on them, so I get that flipper-like appearance. So let me go ahead and get these printed, and we'll take a look at them with the body. Okay, so I have the hands, I have the head printed up. I've also put together the accessories and body that I'm going to be using with this. I decided to go with a fat body, a standard fat body from Classic TV Toys, instead of the S-type body, you know, because the Penguin's a little portly guy, so I thought this might be a better choice. I have the head that I printed out. This is in standard resin, if you're wondering about the color difference. And you can see this has a lot of detail to it. Really neat head sculpt. You know, we're gonna fool with the hat in just a second. Right now, it's not gonna fit so well. Well, actually, it's not so bad. Look at that. I'm gonna apply some heat to it to make it fit a little bit better. But I don't think that that's gonna be a problem, honestly. So, put the head there. And then I've got the hands. I printed these in an ABS resin. That's why there's a color difference. You can see there is some of that pixelation, but once I paint these, I'm hoping that it'll kind of like disappear or be minimized. I've also got that attachment. However, you know, I think I'm gonna have to adapt this body because the head's not gonna fit. I'm gonna have to do something with the head socket here, and I'm definitely gonna have to do something with the hands. Oh, no. Sorry. trying to get this hand out, because this hand socket is a lot smaller than what I've got for these hands. So I'll have to adjust that. But I've got some really cool accessories here. You've already seen the top hat. This is classic TV Toys top hat. Really pretty, isn't it? I also picked up their umbrella. Now they have two umbrellas. They have the closed umbrella and the open umbrella. Here's an example of the closed umbrella. They've got some really cool shoes. I also picked up the socks. These right here, they're gentlemen's shoes. I think those are going to work out really well. Let's see. This jacket right here is actually one of their, it's just a black jacket. It's a long jacket. I'll provide links for this in the description below, because this is kind of an unusual jacket. I also paired it with the gray vest, gray pants, this tie with a little, I don't know if you can see that, little rhinestone, and one of their white shirts. This actually was free with my order. If you purchase over $40, you get a free shirt. And then I have this FDR cloak. I'm probably going to have to sew it to the jacket or the coat with the attachments that I want. So I got some really cool stuff here. Let me go ahead and get this body adjusted though, because I'm going to need to do that so I can fit the head and the hands. Okay, at this point I wanted to show you some of the tools that I've used to kind of modify my body. First thing I'm using is a rasper. Now this rasper I just picked up on, I think it was at Harbor Freight or maybe the Lowe's, I don't remember. I do have some links to some that I found that are similar to this, and it's basically just an attachment for your drill that allows you to create a larger hole for your neck stems. And even though this is an S-type neck stem, I'm still able to get it to fit just by rasping the hole a little bit. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing is, you'll notice that I have the hat on now. I use this heat gun. It's a craft heat gun. A hair dryer might work too, you know, in a high setting, to get the plastic kind of like malleable so that you could fit it onto his head, and it would well, it didn't stay that time, but it will stay, because it's kind of like molded to the hat. I mean to the head now, by using that heat gun. So that's another tool that I used. And then I use this X-Acto knife to kind of clean out any sort of like, let me see if I can show you without, you know, clean out any sort of like rough areas in the neck, and to remove some of the material that's just kind of like melted there and just hanging on. So that's another tool that I use. Then I have this one right here. I think this is a 5/32. Yeah, here we go right here. I don't know if you can see that. 5/32 drill bit, and I just use that to kind of like, I had it attached to my drill. You got to be a little careful though. Oh look, even able to remove a little bit of material just by hand, because you can go a little too far. Maybe it's better to do it by hand. I mean, it's not that difficult. It requires a little bit of work, but once you get that done, then you can attach those hands. Might have to remove a little bit more material. And that just enlarges the hole there so that you can get the hands in. There you go. And I'm not going to have any rotation in and out, but I do have the rotation, you know, side to side and in a little circle around that. So I do have the options to have little adjustments to the movement. Oh, it looks like I'm going to have to do this one as well. But I think you get a pretty good idea of how this is done, and some of the tools that you're going to need for this particular build. Yeah, I used my drill and I thought I got most of it out. I guess I didn't. I'm really careful when I use a drill because I don't want it to go too deep and to mess up the socket. So I must not have I must not have used it as much as I needed to. So anyway, that's how I use these tools here to kind of get the pieces to fit my model. Let's go ahead and get painting on the penguin's face. I think it's going to be a relatively easy paint job, with the exception of maybe the eyes. But I'm going to be using some shades and some different flesh tones to kind of get the look that I'm trying to achieve on this guy. So let me go ahead and get my paints out. All right, let's begin by painting, excuse me, the first layer, which is going to be this Kislev Flesh. And I think I'm going to wait on the hair just because every time I get a little bit more aggressive with the painting, I always have to go back and fix stuff. So I'm figuring I'm going to get the face done first, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to take care of the hair. So let me just get this first layer on. It should be relatively easy to do. I might have to change. Let me grab another vise. This one's no good for, it's great for miniatures, but it's not great for these heads. All right, I was playing with another head and I had it on my vise, so that's why I had to use that other one. Back to my tried and true vise. Okay, you know what? Priming might have been a good idea because it looks like it's not covering as well as I'd expected it to. These paints are really good, the Citadel paints, and I usually don't have to prime, but for whatever reason, maybe it's just the slickness of this particular sculpt, I don't know. But it looks like I'm gonna have to do a couple of coats. So here's my first coat, just to get it down. And you can see I'm not really being careful about where I'm painting in. It's just, I'm trying to get that layer down. And you just, on this one, you want to make sure that you get into the, the nostrils, all those places that are deep into the sculpt, because this is going to be your kind of like, it's what I'm, depth layer. This is going to give you that sense of depth. Well, it looks like 2 coats does it pretty well, so I'm gonna have to go back and do another second coat. I won't do that. I won't film it though, but just to give you an idea of how this is just going on really simply. With the exception of the eyes, this doesn't look like it's going to be too terribly difficult. And those eyes look pretty good too. They're well established, so we'll see. I'll let you know the painting difficulty after I get them done. Because some you think are going to be so simple and then they turn out to be a nightmare for whatever reason. Okay, looks pretty good, at least for the first layer. This is really a nice sculpt. I think it's kind of a bargain too. If you haven't gotten your 3D printer yet and you do customizing, I didn't do it to save money, but I guess you could. I still buy a lot of heads out there, commercial heads from different vendors. Just because, number one, a lot of these sculpts are not online, and number two, sometimes it's just I want to support the the industry, the hobby, and kind of promote those vendors too, because without them, customizing might have died. All right, so for my first coat, I think it's a success. I'm gonna go back and do the second coat, and then we'll come back and we'll do the layering. Before me, I have a ruined brush, which is not good for anything except dry brushing. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my lighter, let me shake this up real quick. My lighter flesh tone, which is kind of like used for like vampires and stuff like that. It's called Flayed-One Flesh. So I'm just going to get that into my brush and try to remove almost all of it. Put this over here so I don't spill it. And then I'm going to use my dry brush to bring out the detail. Now you got to make sure that your paint from your layer is completely dry before you do this step, or else it just won't work. Oops, I'm sorry. You see that's bringing out his cheekbones, really giving you that depth that you want. See, look at that. And it's really easy to do. I mean, dry brushing, it's not very technical, but it gives some fantastic results. The only thing you have to be careful of is that you got to make sure that you don't put too much paint on the brush. Okay, so it looks like that's done. I'm going to let that dry and I'm going to get on the hair. Now, to do the hair, I'm going to use a color called Abbadon Black, which is a really, really jet black. Okay, get a little paint and water on my brush first. I don't know what it is. I don't know what resin I used for this. I thought it was standard resin. It's a new standard resin, but my paints are just not sticking as well as I'd hoped. Look at that. Hope they would. Maybe I should have primed this guy. Let me get another brush. Yeah, you know, I really should have primed him first. I use this flat gray primer by Rust-Oleum. It's kind of like my go-to. So I'm just gonna have to use my bigger brush and put down a couple of coats, you know? So let's go ahead and get that first coat down. I'm just painting it black, so it's not gonna be that big of a deal. It should be easy to get this down. It's just going to take some time because I'm going to have to do maybe several coats. Just going to have to use a big brush. Let's see. Why is this thing shifting? There we go. Okay, it's not doing too badly. Maybe I just need to shake up the paint. There we go, looks like it's got some good coverage going. If you hear something in the background, that's the dishwasher. My wife decided to do dishes right now. Said it couldn't wait, so I apologize for the noise. Okay, let's see if there's anything that... Okay, so to do the hair, just kind of, there's some like strands here. Just make sure that you get those. Oops. If you do make a mistake, you can always go back and use your paint to flesh paint to cover it. It looks like I have some touch-up I got to do there. I'm going to do this off camera. That washing machine is making a lot of noise. So I'll do that, and then I'll just do the touch-up just to show you how that's done. And then we'll come back and we'll do the elements of the face. Let me just get the hair painted. It's not a big deal anyway. It's all black. Okay, I've touched up those areas where the black kind of got into the face. And the paint that I used was that darker flesh tone, the Kislev Flesh. Now, now that I have those areas blocked out, I'm going to come back with my the lighter one, the Flayed-One Flesh, and I'm just going to kind of like dry brush it in. Let me see if I can find another brush that I can use. That one looks pretty bad. And this one's just going to be a really delicate dry brush. I'm just using the tip. And I'm just kind of blend in the color here, so I can get that that dry brush effect back. Really being careful not to get it into the hair. And what you're trying to do is just trying to provide like a transition. You know, you're going to have the darker color towards the scalp where the hair meets it. So you're just trying to provide that transition to the lighter areas of the face. Let me get the other side, and then we'll work on the hair. You can see I just painted the rest of the hair. There we go. Okay, got that back. Now, let's go ahead and do the hair. I had a green here. For some reason, I remember his hair having like a green tinge to it. So I'm going to be using this, let's see, is this the one? Yeah, this is the darker one. Death Guard Green. And I'm just going to use my dry brush again. Different dry brush. Just make sure I get the paint off. Because I'm just looking for subtle highlighting. And just be careful not to get into the hair, to the face. So where you meet the scalp, pull down. So you don't go into that flash area. You can see it's just giving you a little bit of a lighter, I guess, highlight with that green paint. And the purpose of this is kind of bring out that detail and then to add that that kind of like grimy element. Okay, I think I'm done there. Let me go ahead and let that, well, you know, maybe we can go into the next step because it's not going to be anywhere near the hair. Okay, get rid of that. The next step is we're going to use our washes or shades to kind of bring out some of the details in the face. Let's see, I had one here. Not the Agrax Earth shade, it's a, here it is. This is a Gilliman Flesh color. And I'm going to use this around the mouth. I'm also going to use a black wash too. But I'm going to use this around the mouth in kind of like a very watery form. Let me get some more water on this brush. And I'm going to put this under the eyes. Under the mouth. Trying again to get this really watery. Now you're going to probably say, yeah, but I remember he had the black mouth, he had the black under his eyes. That's true, and we're going to take care of that. But what we want to do is we want to have like two of these like contrast colors working together. So I have to get this down and really let it dry. And I'm just trying to get it really, really watery. And you may have to go back and do a little bit more of the highlighting, you know, with your Flayed-One Flesh. you can see I'm just putting that into the areas that have that those natural creases. Might as well go down to the hairline. Now let me mop up the areas where I have too much of it. Okay, I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to come back and probably do a little bit of a dry brush just on those areas where you can see on the forehead right here. Where I want to get back that, that light part, and also on the chin. So let me let that dry, I'll be back. You know, while I have that shade drying, I might as well do the lips. For the lips, I'm using a really dark color of Bugman's Glow. And I'm just going to try to get this on the lips. Because remember, the mouth, I'm working at putting that black in there. So just follow the lip. There you go. You can really see where the lines are, so it's basically going to be painting within the line. Let me do the top one. And for the top lip, I'm painting from the inside. That way I don't mess up that border there. So you can see that I'm painting from the inside up. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the teeth. Now any touch-up that you have to do at this time, you're going to do with your darker color, because we're about to do in a little dry brush in just a second. It looks like I'm good here. I don't think I need any major touch-up. Okay, at this point I guess I might as well do the teeth. Let's see. You know what, I'm gonna have to bust out my apple barrel paints because I got a really cool antique white. Yeah, this stuff is my Antique Parchment. And I'm just going to hit each one of those tooths individually. Oops, looks like it messed up a little bit there. So that's what you got. So let me let them dry and we'll come back and we'll use the rest of that dry brush and shade. You know, I'm really lucky that I have a bunch of these ruined brushes. So here's that Flayed-One Flesh. And I'm just going to redo my dry brush where I may have gotten some darker colors where I don't want them. Alright, okay, let's see. Yeah, dry brushing is just really cool technical paint application that's really easy to do. Look at that. Gives you such great results. Secret is, of course, not to use too much paint. There we go. See what that did? Pretty cool, huh? I'm almost ready for the eyes. Still have a little bit of wetness in there, I just noticed. So let me wait for that to dry. Okay, the eyes are going to get some Abbadon Black action. That's where I'm going to start. I'm going to paint the entire inside of the eye black. Because what this will do is it'll provide that nice little border on the lids. Thankfully, he's got these big eyes. Well, I mean, relatively speaking. Okay. So far, so good. You know, like, let me put that black wash in his mouth just to see what it's gonna look like. Where is it? Here it is. Nulin's oil to shade. Let's grab some of this and toss it in his mouth. I may have to dilute this as well. Let's take a look. Actually, no. Let me shake this up. It might be a little too thin. There we go. I'm gonna have to rest the model this way because it's pooling towards the bottom and I'd like it to pool kind of like everywhere. So I'm gonna let him rest there and we'll come back and we'll finish the eyes. Okay, now for the whites of his eyes, or in this case, the Antique Parchment. Now when I add this white, I'm gonna try to keep that black right at the liner. So I'm gonna start in the middle and kind of work out. Looks like I'm getting this one done. Okay, let me see if I can be as successful on the second one. Again, I'm just starting in the middle and kind of working out. Okay. Let me let those dry and we'll add the eye color. I think he's coming out really well. Okay, I'm going to use the same black for his eye color. And on the eyes, I usually start in the middle and towards the top. Let me see if I can get a close-up of that. In the middle towards the top. get the other one. Middle towards the top. Okay, and to kind of like give them a little bit of interest, I'm going to put a little brown in there. What a brown here, where is it? Oh, here we go. A little dip of what's called Mornfang brown. Right in the center. Oops, gotta shake it up. Kind of backwards. From what I usually paint eyes, you usually have the color and then I have the black. But I'm going to do this a little differently. There you go. And now we're going to use that black wash that I have, that shade, and we're going to go above his eyes. It's that Nulin's oil. And I'm going to use it as kind of like a an eyeshadow. I have to be really careful with it so I don't mess up my paint job. But I'm going to start above the eye. And just use that to darken his eyes. A little more over here. This is not as dark as I remember. Usually this Nulin's oil is a lot darker. Maybe I just got a different batch or something, I don't know. Let me add another. I think I'm gonna have to let it dry and add some more. Maybe I just haven't shaken it up enough. Maybe all the color's at the bottom. Okay, let's try it again. And you can see how it's kind of blending with that brown. Wow, he looks like he's done. I'm gonna spray him with my matte clear enamel, and I think I'm gonna call him. I think he's good. The penguin. Yeah, look at that dry brushing. The dry brushing is so cool. Here, let's see if I get it focused. See, look at the effects that the dry brushing gives you. And those shades, everything just kind of came together there. All right, let me get him sprayed with the matte clear enamel and get him dressed. You know, I don't know what it is, but I think this guy is my favorite of the three that I've put together so far. I really like the Joker, but I think I like this guy more. And I don't know whether it's the outfit, the ensemble there, because it looks, I mean, stunning. It's just totally layered. You know, with the gray pants, matching vest, and that that tie. I don't know, everything just comes together. That cape is just, well, look at that. You know, Classic TV Toys really has some good accessories. I guess the variety of their line is kind of diminishing. I've noticed that. You know, certain things that I used to be able to get, I can't get anymore. But what is available is just stunning. You know, if you do any sort of like 1/9 customs, they're a go-to source right there. And look at that hat. You know, being able to fit it to his head. You know, I always like the removable accessories, honestly. You know, you'll notice that I have a rubber band around his umbrella just because those flipper hands don't hold very well. But yeah, I really like this guy. I think he looks better with his hat. Cock it over to the side like that. And you'll see that the hands actually, you know, rotate so that you can get different poses out of them. Oops, lost his hat. But I think he looks fabulous. You know, yeah, the three that I have, this is my favorite, honestly. I don't know what it is, but he just looks so cool. Now, I have one left to tackle. I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but that's going to be Catwoman. I think that one's going to be hard. I found some really cool sculpts online. Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman is, I guess, popular enough that there's some really nice choices for different heads that I can use. It's perhaps the body that's going to be, not the body, the outfit that's going to be difficult to manage. And then the hands, I've got to get some claw-like hands somewhere, female hands, or maybe adapt some. But, oh yeah, you can see the green in the hair now. Look. Gives him that like grimy and subterranean look. I really like how everything came out. You know, the eyes though, they just are not black enough. You know, that Nulin's oil, I remember it being a lot darker. I mean, I think they look okay, but that's one thing that I would change on this guy if I could. You know, maybe darken his eyes. I don't know, tell me what you think in the comments. But I think the rest of the paint applications came together and put together a figure that just, you know, just looks really cool. Wow, I can't get over that head sculpt. Look at that. Really cool. And it just goes with that the fat body from Classic TV Toys. Now let me cock it over to the side. That's why you don't want to print out your hat, because if you can find this thing and get him on your action figure, you know, you can just like give him some attitude. You know, you will have to mess with the hat though, and I recommend that you size it before you paint it, because you don't want to scuff up your paint job. But wow, really happy with this guy. Well, until next time, you guys stay safe, be cool, have fun this holiday. You know, Thanksgiving's coming up. I'm really excited about that. I've got a lunch date with the family. Wow, maybe I'll get some more customizing done during the break. I'm hoping. Well, you guys take care, and I'll see you soon. Happy holidays.